cleared earlier, I think their votes now are up by 7 or 8 or something like that. And that one is included. And so when you say don't open this envelope, don't open that envelope, we are saying mistakes could have been made on the night of the election where things that ought not to be in this envelope end up in that envelope. And if we are going to be doing a complete scrutiny of this election, then every envelope must be opened. Every aspect of every ballot must be checked. And we cannot afford to cut corners to save time. Now, we are not opposed to a more rapid count, but we are not going to sacrifice speed for thoroughness. And if we want to have a result that is credible, let us take the time to go through every piece of document. Now, there are many persons that are saying that we are making objections. Objections, the word objection is ill-placed. What we are doing are simply making observations. We observe that XYZ name is ticked off, appear to have voted, but our records from our investigation shows that there is an anomaly. That is the reason for the observation reports. And when we make observations that some to become anomalies, they have to be recorded in their purest sense. If somebody objects to that, perhaps that is okay. But as we have always said, we have the evidence. If you want a death certificate produced, we will produce it. If you want immigration record to be produced, it will be produced. All of us in the country have the records of those persons who did not collect their ID. It was in the newspaper for days on end. And you can use that same record produced by GECOM and you can say person with serial number XYZ is ticked off and appear to have voted. There is no corresponding oath of identity, and because there is no corresponding oath of identity, then that constitutes an anomaly. Now, we are not making these observations because we want to impugn the work of GECOM. But we are saying that of the 2,399 polling stations that were there on election day, it is very possible that not all staff members accepted the training or understood the training in the same way, and they could have let something slip. Similarly, I'm saying the same thing about our agents. Maybe not all of them understood the training the same way and could have made mistakes. And we're saying in the period between elections day and now, as is usual, it is not unusual. It's simply that if all these events did not occur, we would have had only 28 days to put together all this information that we have now And if it was necessary to go to an elections petition, then we would present all this information. And as I continue to say, the process that we're involved in right now is kind of a hybrid system never before happened in Guyana. And only today, I heard the PRO mentioning that more decisions were made by the Commission. So it is a dynamic process. The process is still a living organism. The things and new rules are being made and reaffirmed on a daily basis. And so that is the way things are moving. And the process we're involved in have elements of what should happen on election night after the close of poll, and elements of what should happen during an election petition. And because of the mixing of these two elements, never before seen in Guyana, because of the mixing of these two elements, some of the things that you would have presented in an election petition have to be presented now. And so we are presenting some of the evidence that is based on some of the complaints or observations or objections made by our agents on election night. So our observations today are based on some of the objections that were made election night. And I would admit also that while searching for information based on objections that were made on election night, we may stumble upon additional things. And that is normal also. And so I don't understand the repeated attempts and steadfast attempts to wish away these observations. These observations strike at the heart of the credibility of the election, and we know that that is one of the things we set out to do. As to whether the observations are sufficient to change the, or to would have caused the results to be different, we don't know that yet. GECOM will determine that at some later stage. But we believe that we are within our rights. We believe that the Guyanese people need to know what are the observations that affected what ended up in the ballot boxes on the day of election. I heard also coming out of GECOM that there are discussions relating to the increase in workstations. And let me say this offhand. We do not have any objections to increase in workstations per se. However, as we all will know, we need to be concerned about the number of persons being housed in the particular facility. And we will be monitoring that closely, and a decision on that will be forthcoming shortly. Further, based on the observations that we make, we believe GECOM has a responsibility to follow up on them specifically. So, for example, if we present a certificate of death, it will form part of the observation report, and GECOM cannot just wish it away. GECOM must consider it. We believe it's GECOM's responsibility to consider it. And perhaps part of the consideration, they may want to determine if that death certificate is actually authentic. and may not wish to take our word for it. And we're saying GECOM has that responsibility. Basically, those are the core issues I'd want to bring. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to address.
Do you have any idea of the number of anomalies in total that have been noted by your party so far? Like, give me a number.
Okay. I do not have the number. I'm unable to give you that now. But what I can say to you, we are collating the reports, and we are having them on a day-by-day basis. And at some point, probably before end of week, we will give a breakdown of how many dead persons have voted in our opinion so far, and these kinds of things.
By the end of the week?
Perhaps. Don't hold me to that, but we intend to make that the number of confirmed observations that we have made.
Okay. One commissioner, Mr. Safegunrad, is saying that there are certain observations that are being made. For example, an observation for a serial number that may not be on the list, like past the
Okay, let me address that quickly. There was one occasion where something like that happened. Okay. And this is why the agents go into the counting station with the list, because remember, each party have their copy of the pink list and they know which names were crossed out. And an agent was assigned to station 1 and mistakenly went to station 2, or misunderstood that she should go to station 1 and went to station 2. Or don't hold me on the number, I'm just saying what occurred. And went to a different station, and she simply asked, can check to see if number, whatever that number is, 321, is ticked off. And the reply was, oh no. And we, in our research later on, we didn't know that at the time because of course we weren't in there. But subsequently, we were able to determine that, and we solved that. And that happened only on one solitary occasion.
Okay. There's another type of observation that Mr. Nandalal is saying coming up, and that he doesn't think it's a necessary observation. So I'll bring it to you and you'll tell me if it's one that your party has made. So he's saying that sometimes a person on the list is not checked off to have voted, but yet an observation is being made that that person is dead. If that person is identified to be dead, eventually, their name isn't ticked off, so it wouldn't affect the vote either way.
Right.
Are you bringing observations like this to...
Not to my knowledge. That's a fiction of Mr. Nandalal's imagination.
Okay. What do you say about the decision to reduce the number of items on the checklist, like taking out the need to check off the folio?
I addressed that earlier. We believe that every single item in the ballot box should be scrutinized, because votes for parties have been found in strange places, strange envelopes where they shouldn't be. Ballots have been found. And in some cases, even the folios for the ballots have been found in a different envelope where it shouldn't be in. So when you skip something in the box, you lose some of the information and some of the truth of what happened on election night.
Would you put yourself in a position, because you're talking about providing evidence for all of these observations, to publish the observations, or to publish the evidence of the observations so that the public can do their own scrutiny?
At some point we probably could do that. We did not specifically discuss releasing that to the public because people are claiming And I got that from some of the small parties. They're claiming that these are people's private information and to put it out there in the public because immigration record would include your full name, your address, your date of departure, your time, your flight number, even your destination. And we can't just go and release that to the public. So we give it directly to the CEO.
Well, what about
or CEO's
death
secretariat.
certificates, for instance? Could you do like, okay, all the debts that you're claiming, as a good gesture of transparency, all the debts, put them out, put out the evidence, so we can see all of the claims being made by the party.
I've heard that question before, and like I said, we've not specifically discussed releasing that to the public. But again, this is a public process. And when you have overwhelming requests for something, maybe at some point you decide to acquiesce to that. And I guess we will meet and decide on something like that.
Advocate for that? You?
I am not sure I would be your best advocate, but I will make your observation known.
Mr. Craig, in the absence of a court order through an elections petition, how do you foresee the release of immigration records and that information, well, more immigration records and that information in GECOM?
If you check the National Registration Act, the act that allows GECOM to go house to house and register, that act allows information to be transferred between GECOM and immigration, and between GECOM and the GRO, and between GECOM and GRA. So that relationship exists in law. It perhaps is not that tight in practice, but it exists. And my understanding is no court order is necessary.
But at this juncture where we are in the electoral cycle, how is that possible?
It's my understanding is, and I'm not a lawyer, but my understanding is that GECOM can request that at any time and have it provided, or the entities can send it to GECOM at their own discretion periodically. So the GRO could decide tomorrow that he or she can compile list of debts and send it to GECOM, or GECOM can request it. My understanding is that it could happen either way at any time.
But then how do you guard against questions being possibly raised that your coalition will basically be operating in an evil playing field and abusing its incumbency for political advantage to stay in office?
Can you put that question another way?
No, that's my way of putting it.
I dare say I don't understand your question, sir.
Well, how do you deal with the perception possibly that the coalition could be, in fact, be viewed as abusing its incumbency to remain in office by way of accessing records and giving GECOM at this juncture?
So you're saying if GECOM requests record, or if the record of the department decide to use whatever legal
at this juncture
availability to them, I'm sure you've heard it said that this is the mother of all elections. And with such an important election, why are you so concerned about this particular juncture? It could happen at any time, sir.
No, so
and
my
that
question is, how do you deal with concern or perception that you may be viewed as abusing your incumbency for political advantage to stay in office?
As long as whatever action is taken by whatever entity does not infringe any known law in Guyana, then I don't see the question as being specifically relevant.
Would you give an idea of how you go through accessing all of those immigration records? Like what happens? Who gets the records? What set of records do you request? Who do you request it from? How do you know that these persons are migrants? You may have a list of persons that you...
Yeah, but that is from research that we have done. We have agents in every village and in every town.
So you don't go
in
to
Guyana.
immigration, you go to village by village and...
The relationship between immigration with immigration is between GECOM and immigration and GECOM.
No, I mean the claims
we are not...
The claims you're making about migrant voters, how do you know that these persons are migrants? Do you go door to door?
No. Now how do we know that they are migrants? How do we know that they were not here on election day?
Okay.
So they don't have to be migrants. They can be an ordinary person with just Guyanese nationality who left Guyana and wasn't here on election day. And we may not capture all, but we believe that the ones we investigated are true and correct.
And that's your research going door to door. You said research in communities. How is that research done?
A lot of the people who live in communities have local knowledge of, you know, what is happening, and basically that is the foundation for determining some of these
How was
things.
this local knowledge used pre-elections? You had claims and objections.
Uh-huh.
You had a partial house to house. You also have your routine political work in communities. How was this information uncovered well in advance of the electoral election date? So that it could have informed your polling agents.
On election day itself, you would not have all the information people leave the night before and all that. But beyond that, what we advocated for, even prior to the election, we advocated for a new list, a clean list. And we are saying that having a list that was not sanitized also strikes directly to the credibility of an election process.
But that was not an argument from March 2nd moving on to before the recount started. From that period, you were saying the election was free, fair, and credible. And there was no doubt.
Okay, let me deal with that. We said that in March that the elections were free, fair, and credible.
Yes.
And that is general. All right, because on the specific day, you don't know of all the complaints on the specific day. These things come in afterwards, but now we have an opportunity just to test it. We have not made any other pronouncement, but we are saying allow us to test the credibility of this election. Let's just test it. And at the end of the process, GECOM will determine if the test that was placed against the credibility of the election can stand, or if it will fall by the wayside. It's a simple matter.
Can you on election day conduct a free, fair, and credible process with an unclean list? Why are you separating an unclean list from the conduction of the free, fair, and credible election process?
Okay, so if you have a list that is not sanitized, let me just say this. If you have a list that is not sanitized, we are saying it opens the door, or it gives occasion for anomalies of this nature to happen. And this door that was opened, we are testing to see how many persons pass through, if I could use that analogy. All right, and then we are just testing to see if at all it was exploited, because we know it could be. And all we're doing, we're testing to see if this unclean list was exploited.
Why your mechanisms threefold they did not work?
I would not say that.
So how come you didn't uncover the probably thousands of migrants, thousands of dead people?
Those are your numbers, right? You're saying thousands, but
I said probably.
okay. Let's put it this way. On these things are normal. Remember, I started out by saying this is a hybrid process, which we all should know by now. After an election, every party, every single party, sits down and review the entire elections. They review the agent's report. This happened, that happened. Somebody came with a blue shirt and voted, and then come back with a pink shirt and voted. Your agents will tell you all of that. And then you sit down and you piece through all of that. And then you try to gather the evidence. And then you determine if this is sufficient to stand in an election petition. And then you file one if you believe so. For example, in 2015, the PPP believed that what the agents reported summed to, they claim it's enough to cause them to win the 2015 election, and they filed a petition. It is normal to do that.
Answer the question, how you were not able to uncover these anomalies?
No, but that is what you're saying. I am saying that our agents reported some of these things. And it is that report that formed the basis of our investigation, which we would have gone through anyway, and we will determine if it is sufficient to file an election petition. So an election petition could be filed by a party that won the election, you know, because they may feel that based on these anomalies, they could have gotten more votes.
How many anomalies did you find? How many anomalies were found?
Like I said, as we go ahead, we will provide a day by day based on the...
Before pre-election. The time the bell...
I do not have that information, personally.
One final question from me. If an unclean list could threaten the credibility of an election, as you said, why hold without the shadow of a doubt, post-election day, up to before the recount started, that the election was free, fair, and credible?
Okay, that is a general statement as it appears.
So you are sure that the election is free, fair, and credible post-election day to before the recount started?
We accepted that at that time. And today, up to this day, we have not said that it is not free, fair, and credible. All we're saying, give us an opportunity to test the credibility based on the information that we have. That's all.
But you and your party calling them questioning the process here and saying that they're huge anomalies. So how can there be election, a free and fair and credible election, and one that has prospects of massive...
No, so you are saying...
No, not what I'm saying, what you're saying. Yeah, what you're saying.
Oh, okay, you are...
I'm saying you, I'm talking...
You surmise, based on your question, you surmise that what we said after election, immediately after post-election, must stand. And I'm saying, after election night, we began a series of investigations. And the investigations lead us here now. And if those investigations lead us to a place where we believe that the process was compromised, we have to say so. So, on the night of election, for example, we could have, you know, you call your agents in the field, your supervisors in the field, and say anything major, anything major, anything major. And in their opinion, they might say this no matter, and then you say, okay, it seems as though everything is okay, the elections were good. But you have some time now to sit down and piece through different forms of evidence, and if it leads you to a different conclusion, you have to say so.
So while you were doing this series of investigations after election day, the party was still comfortable, as one time Mr. Joseph Harmon said, to advocate to have Mr. Granger sworn in. While these investigations were being done, when did you start uncovering all of these anomalies?
Yes, because because we are law-abiding people, and based on the law, when GECOM makes a declaration, you accept that declaration, and then you use all the mountain of evidence you have to file an election petition.
But GECOM is still to make a declaration. GECOM is still to make a declaration.
No, but he is asking me based on what would have happened.
The declaration that was in place at the time.
The declaration that was in place at the time, it could have been declared the same day or the next day or something like that.
So you would have filed an elections petition even though your candidate would become the president.
Listen to this. If I am not, I am not saying yes or no to that. You have to do an investigation, and your investigation, you then ask questions. Is this sufficient for an election petition? Why not? That's all I'm saying.
Are the anomalies that you have uncovered so far sufficient in your mind to discredit the results? Is it? I
do not know that. We are placing a test, and the test will determine.
Based on the boxes that would have been addressed so far, can you say that the anomalies
only about 10% of the boxes have been processed, and that is too small a figure to come to a conclusion, sir.
Of the anomalies raised so far, can you put the results of those boxes that have been assessed so far in question?
That has not yet been determined.
Do you still believe that the coalition won the election?
From my understanding, yes.
So if the
Based on
what?
Based on what?
Based on what? Coalition won based on what?
GECOM has figures on their website.
But you're also saying that this process is turning up anomalies, challenging the very figures that GECOM has on the website. So how are you still winning? Or how? Explain.
Hold on. We are saying if you remove some of these anomalies, we would have a larger win.
But you also just base it on the figures on GECOM website. That's what you base it on.
I don't understand your logic.
You just base your victory on the figures on GECOM website.
No, the question was asked about
what figures you're using to justify?
And you use
yes, at that time, if the president was to be sworn in at that time, what figures would it be based on?
Now we talk.
Yeah. And what's your question?
On what basis do you believe you won?
Given all the anomalies being raised.
All parties have statements of poll, and our statements of poll suggest and
you'll be sharing the statement of poll publicly.
So we could verify that you won.
yeah,
we have not made that decision.
Why
but if
not?
y'all
Why
want,
not?
y'all
I am saying we have not made this
but if
decision.
y'all win, why not release this?
Show us that you won.
SOP's release generally is the remit of GECOM. GECOM
But
decides.
the ones in your party's possession.
Look,
No one is stopping
You
you
have
from
to release.
releasing
You don't need
yours.
GECOM's permission to release those.
look, let me go back to the year 2006. I'm a member of the AFC. I'm a member of the AFC. In 2006, it is well known that we won one more seat than we were awarded by GECOM. We took our SOPs, to GECOM. We met with GECOM and we said, look, and we were told that only the SOPs in the possession of GECOM are the ones that are legal. And based on that, we will go ahead and make our declaration. And if you believe you have sufficient cause, please file an election petition. And we did that. And so our SOPs are a guide. And I am saying that we have not made a decision to release them. We have not made that decision.
Mr. GECOM saying that their SOPs is what they will use for their legal decisions. That does not detract from you releasing your SOP.
Yeah,
The public.
To corroborate
what you're saying sounds logical, all right? It may very well be logical, but what is legal? And the legal SOPs. No. I'm saying the legal SOPs to consider are the ones in the process of possession of GECOM. No, well, that is what you wish, and I hear you. That is what you wish, and I hear you. I will report that whenever we have meetings and consultations. I will report that that is what you wish.
Does the AFC have the statement support?
If the AFC as a party, the coalition has statement.
No, the AFC.
I am saying to you, the coalition has statement.
Yeah, but what about the AFC?
We have a joint team, and the joint team has the statement of force.
But do you have access to it readily?
I am sure members of the AFC have access to it. Yes.
What are your thoughts on the figures that were declared by Mr. Mingo?
Mr. Mingo is an agent of GECOM.
Yes, he is a clerk, agent, or servant.
That is what GECOM, we respect the decision of GECOM, let me say that.
So you're standing by the declaration for Region 4?
That is not for me to do or not to do. We respect the decision of GECOM as we have always done. We did that in 2006. We did that in 2011. We did that in 2015. In 2020, it's no different. We respect the decisions of GECOM.
So why are you here?
You know what happened in the intervening period. You know what happened after the election, right? Is that all? Okay, thank you.